with all the new regulations, the policy changes at the provincial government level, right? Because that have trickled down to the municipalities, because we know that zoning, the zoning requirements have changed.
Yes.
There's a lot of pressure from everywhere to increase housing, the density of housing. And so I imagine when you put all that together, along with staffing requirements in the municipalities, people who want to get things done. There's still, as far as I know, a lack of labor in the construction field.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of factors in there that are going to make it, I would say, somewhat difficult to get things done on time on a schedule. I mean, you can make any schedule you want, right? But there's so many variables here. Wow. So can you talk a little bit about how the zoning changes and the policy changes have affected what people want to do?
Yes, that is great. And I will say zoning policy changing, which is housing policy changes throughout Ontario, has evolved significantly since 1994. In fact, 1990. Right. And it has now, those changes are being compressed like into shorter time spans. Before it was 10 years until they saw another iteration from 1990 to 2000, then 2000, 2012, then 2012 to 2018. And so it is becoming more and more compressed. And obviously the last iteration of that was 2018 to 2023. Well, really 2022, then 2023. So it has come down to the point where housing policy is actually experiencing changes on almost an annual basis. And the zoning bylaws need to also reflect those changes. And I'm not a politician, nor do I have any ambitions of such, but I will say that it's a hard job these guys have to do, right? It's a hard job, like trying to navigate all those things. And by no means way am I trying to diminish the work involved in running a city building department, right? I don't know, because I've never been there myself. So with that said, when I say I haven't been there, I have not been a chief building official to know what it means to run a building department or housing division or whatever that might be. So with that said, I will say this, and this kind of pivots on that same conversation. If the provincial government needs to change and municipal policies need to change, it also goes without saying investors need to also change and massage or modify their expectations when it comes to these things. Because along with the changes on the provincial, municipal level, it trickles all the way down. And with the more work, it means times are changing, timelines are changing. So whereas in 2019, you could have expect to get your permits in 6 weeks, that would have been worst case. Today, you have to expect that to be easily about 8 weeks, even 10 weeks in some cases, right? Just because of the workload. So I know, and that's not the question you asked, but I just wanted to mention that. With regards to housing policy changes, Laurel, I'll tell you, this is really a time for real estate investors to really listen in and hear what's happening on that level, because it absolutely impacts everything, right? I mean, and not just housing policy, but immigration policy, monetary policy. These things really, I would never think that in the work that I do, I would spend so much time looking at government, government related stuff. And if I were to be honest, I in a real kind of nerdy sort of side of me is that I like to just log into city council meetings in various cities and just listen to what they're talking about. Sometimes they have interesting projects, but sometimes they have some interesting policies that they're pushing through, right? It's wow, this is but this is the stuff that's driving everything.